are, please mute yourself, but otherwise we'll have people unmuted in conversation groups and hopefully visible on the screen as well, because this is a get to know each other setting. Feel free to use the chat function. And if you do need to disappear for a few minutes and come back, you can just turn off your video and audio and take care of whatever you need to and then come back. I think that's basic housekeeping. So I'm going to put us in the hands of Dr. Marianne Bender, Board Chair of the Oak Park River Forest Chamber of Commerce.
Thanks, Mark. Welcome, everybody. Again, my name's Dr. Marianne Bender. I am the president of the Chamber Board, and we are so thrilled to see all of you here today. Thank you again to the candidates for agreeing to join us for some fun conversation tonight. I am going to hand it over to Liz to go over the protocol for the evening.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Liz Holt. I'm the Executive Director at the Oak Park and River Forest Chamber of Commerce. I want to welcome everybody. We've got 33 people on this call. I think we had about, last I saw, close to 50 people who had RSVP'd to come along, so it's a great crowd. Thank you for taking your time at the end of a long work day. Hopefully this is the end of your work day and you don't have to go back to work after this. We are thrilled to have the 4 candidates for trustee in River Forest with us tonight. We're thrilled that they are taking the time to speak with us. And we just want to lay down some ground rules and let you know a little bit about what we're going to do tonight. So this is a meet and greet. It's in the spirit of our chamber networking events. They're casual, we try and keep them lively and friendly, and it's really about getting to know people. I know we've all had a lot of politics in the last year, and unfortunately, but we have to get through a little bit more, just a little bit more to get us through to April. So what we want to do tonight is really get to know our candidates as people. These people live in your community. They've raised families in your community. They shop and they eat, and they often have houses in this community. So we want you to remember that when you are watching other panel discussions, when you are reading the newspaper, that these are people who live in your community. They are politicians second. So today it's about getting to know them as people, and then getting to know them as politicians. So we want to be clear that this is not a forum to air your grudges against people or politicians. And we don't really want to get too much into the weeds on heavy-duty topics, although we definitely welcome people bringing up questions and concerns. In that spirit, the format for tonight is we have got several of our Oak Park River Forest Chamber board members on this call, and they're going to be helping us through the evening and into our breakout rooms. So what we'll do is, once I'm finished speaking, we will ask the candidates to have a few kind of opening words. Just tell us who they are, tell us what they're about. And then we'll move everybody into 4 breakout rooms. So we've got 4 candidates. We'll have 4 breakout rooms. Each breakout room will have 1 candidate and 1 chamber board member as a facilitator. Because this is in the spirit of our chamber networking events, we would love it if you would turn on your camera. There is nothing worse than speaking to an empty screen. I'm sure we've all done that. And if we've got any teachers or professors on this call, you're going to know what it's like to speak to a screen full of black squares. So, you know, when you get into the rooms, if you feel you are able, please turn on your cameras. We want this to be about getting to know each other. The facilitators are in there just to make sure that we keep the conversation flowing. If you're a business owner and you're on this call, please take the chance to introduce yourself. I'm Liz Holt from the Chamber. This is about getting to know you and your business. Of course, we have a lot of people who are residents in River Forest as well, so take the time to meet your business owners. These are the people that make your village so fantastic. I would also encourage people to just speak up. You don't have to have your mute on the whole time. Get a conversation going, get to know your facilitator, and just basically have fun tonight and get to know people and get to know your community. So Mark, Marianne, I don't know if I missed anything there.
That's great. Mark,
Okay.
how about some chamber announcements before we start?
Sorry, I just had one last thing, which it just
babe.
occurred to me, is that
You want to fill it? You want me to?
oh, let me mute. We will be recording this session. And so the recording will travel with one of the people that works at the chamber, one of our staffers, and it will travel into room 4. So if you get put into room 4, just please know that we are recording that session. And if you would prefer not to have your camera on because of the recording, just yeah, take note. So thanks, Marianne.
Awesome. Mark, you're up with some chamber announcements, please.
Sure, just a few quick things. One is that we often do a raffle of gift certificates from our member businesses in our events. So tonight is no exception. So stay tuned until the end. We'll be raffling off 3 gift certificates from local businesses. We also do lots of events at the Chamber of Commerce, both virtual and in real life as real life allows. And those can all be found on our website at oprfchamber.org. Some of them are business focused, some of them are more open to anybody like this. So just to name a few, we have a gathering of our nonprofit organizations this Thursday at 1 o'clock and a second piece at 2 o'clock. We do an every other week lunch pickup at one of our local member restaurants. So we will be at Starship in Forest Park this Friday at lunch for anyone who wants to join us for lunch pickup and a kind of quick meet and greet thing. We have a business after hours happening a week from today that will be the same format as this, but will be with the candidates for village president for both Oak Park and River Forest. So exactly 1 week from tonight, you're all invited to join us for that. We have a Chamber 101 introduction to chamber membership and benefits on the 17th of March. And then again on the 19th, we're doing another lunch pickup. So keep an eye on our calendar, oprfchamber.org for all those events. You can also find out there about our local gift card program that we started a few months ago. That's another way to be kind to one another while supporting local businesses. All kinds of fantastic stuff on our website. We also have a Facebook page, so feel free to follow us there as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Okay, now for the fun part. I'm going to call on each of you. Please introduce yourself. And also, we have a question for you to answer. You can answer it seriously. You can answer it in a fun way, whatever you choose. But the question is, if you could be vaccinated against anything other than COVID, what would it be? So I am going to start with Johan, if you could introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Marianne. My name is Johan Baes. I am a professor of musicology, and I've had my 22 years of being a pre-concert lecturer at the Chicago Symphony Orchestra. I'm also a political refugee and activist from the apartheid era in the 1980s, and so I'm an adopted sign of the United States, being a naturalized citizen. For 23 years, I've lived in River Forest, but 2 years before that, I lived in Oak Park on Clarence and on Marion, 2 houses down from Peterson's Ice Cream. My River Forest activity has been quite extensive. I serve currently as a traffic and safety commissioner. I also served on the River Forest flood task force in 2008 and beyond. And then also I've had various opportunities to represent the community at the Metro Rail extension, the third rail event. So that gives you a background. I am obviously married to Janet, whom you saw on the call, but our 2 daughters were raised and attended schools in Oak Park and mostly in River Forest. They are 28 and 30 respectively.
So the important question is, what would you be vaccinated against other than COVID?
You know, I thought the first thought that came to my mind was hatred.
That's great.
So I'll stick with that. I'd like to be vaccinated against hatred.
That works. Great, thank you so much. Okay, we are going on to Ken. If you could introduce yourself and answer the same question.
Sounds good. Hello, everyone. Ken Johnson. Forgive me, I'm still getting my Zoom etiquette together, so sometimes when I talk, I lean in, so I'm trying not to, so I'm gonna freeze right here. But I'm Ken Johnson. I grew up in Michigan, went to the University of Michigan for law school, for undergrad, and then University of Iowa for law school. I married my wife who went to Ohio State, so there's always been that push-pull that we got going on right now in our family. But we also have two kids, two lovely daughters that have matriculated through the River Forest school system. One is a freshman at Ohio State, believe it or not, and then the other is a freshman at Fenwick. On the business end, I own my own law firm. I have since 2003. I've been practicing for over 25 years. My law firm is actually located in 6 states now. We built it up to 6 states. And we do a lot of corporate and family-based immigration. We do oil and energy and regulatory law, and we do banking and banking compliance. I've also had the pleasure of doing moderate lease work for a few businesses in Oak Park as well as in River Forest. So I'm familiar with small business efforts. And then also, you know, my firm, when we started the firm, it was a mantra that we're going to make sure we show that diversity means excellence. So 85% of my staff is minority, and we have been able to produce and grow and show that if you add diverse thought to the program, you can still produce excellence, and there's no adverse effect of it. So I'm very proud of that. As far as also growing up, when I was a senior in high school, I was unfortunately diagnosed with cancer. Spent a couple of years going through high-dose chemotherapy, and as a result, I unfortunately have, they had to remove the bone from my knee, and so I have like a rod in my leg, so I can't bend my knee. So I'm familiar with certain things that come with, you know, barriers to, you know, transportation. As far as me being a River Forest resident, like I said, I've been in River Forest for the past actually 15 years. We have, during that time, built 2 houses, and I also had a previous house that had a lot of flood issues. And I say all that to say, I'm familiar with the flood issues, as well as with the municipalities and the issues that come with dealing with the municipality when you're trying to, you know, either rehab or build or things. So I'm very familiar with that structure. And then I guess why me as a River Forest trustee, I don't know if you want to know that right now, or should I just hold that one?
You can hold that one and tell us tell us what you would like to be vaccinated against other than COVID.
Okay, so I unfortunately have an addiction to strawberry refreshers at Starbucks. So I need to, something has to stop me from going there every day. I mean, I'm there every day on Lake and Harlem, and I get this thing. They actually know my name and everything, which is becoming a problem. So I would love to be vaccinated against strawberry refreshers from Starbucks.
Very good. Thank you. All right, Lisa, you're up. You are muted still.
I always do that. So I guess one of the things I have to do, and I'm on Zoom all day, every day. But anyway, I was struck by the fact that that you're referring to us as politicians, because I actually never thought I would be called that. And I guess I am, because I am running for trustee. I've been a resident of River Forest for for 23 years. And before that, I was in Oak Park for 6 years. So I've officially lived in this part of the world longer than where I was born and raised, which is in New York, much to my mother's dismay. She's finally gotten used to the fact that I'm not coming home because I just love this place. I've raised 3 children here with my husband, Rick. I have 2 boys, twins that are 24, soon to be 25, and my daughter's 23. They went to all of the schools but they went to Willard, they went to Roosevelt, and then the boys were at Oak Park River Forest High School, and my daughter went to Trinity. She is now getting her master's at University of Edinburgh in Scotland, which during a pandemic provides for a very different experience. The boys are both working out in Telluride, keeping my sister company during the pandemic. I am an advertising person, 30 years, more than 30 years in the business. I'm actually, some might say, the oldest person in advertising, because it's not a career that people stay in for their entire career. But I've been in this business because I've been able to continue to evolve and grow. I've always been in non-traditional types of advertising, so database marketing, direct marketing, social media marketing, and that has allowed myself to kind of, you know, just reinvent myself and build teams that deliver the work. I like to build teams, and I like to pull different people from different walks of life together to kind of go, you know, for some big audacious goal and make it happen. I am a hard worker, as many people will attest to. I'm one of those folks that you've heard the old adage, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. Well, that would be me. I tend to take on a lot. While working full-time and raising my children, I have been a member of the Oak Park River Forest Infant Welfare Society for more than 20 years. I've been a circle director. I've been on the board in charge of marketing, where I did bring in my advertising agency at the time, Leo Burnett, to do all of their branding. And actually, I was involved long enough to have them refresh the branding for Oak Park River Forest Infant Welfare Society and the Children's Clinic on Lake Street. I continue to remain engaged doing special projects and just being a member at large. I am chairperson right now of the River Forest Sustainability Commission. I've been chairperson for not even a year, actually since June. Before then, I was a member, and I worked hard with Julie Moeller, who was the last chairperson, to kind of pull it all together such that it could sustain itself beyond the founding members. The founding members included Sue Gee, Katie Brennan, and Julie Moeller, and all of them have moved on. So we've really worked hard to kind of operationalize the Sustainability Commission, to create a plan that we kind of use on an ongoing basis. And I can talk more about that later if anybody wants to, you know, kind of know more. I am.
So that's good.
Okay.
That's great. We'll talk about the little details when we divide up. What would you like to be vaccinated against besides COVID?
All right, I'm going to do with the first thing that came into my mind, which was negativity.
Very good.
I need to be vaccinated against negativity, because it just I don't react well to that, because I think that, you know, if you put your mind to something, you can achieve anything.
Okay, thank you. Rez, you're up to please introduce yourself and tell us what you would be vaccinated against. And you are muted also.
It's a good thing you're here as coach.
Yeah, that's my wife says that's a dream when if she wished she could mute me all the time, for that matter, when I'm at home. But thank you all for giving us this opportunity and for meeting with everybody. This is terrific. Right, I've been a little personal background. My wife and I have moved into River Forest in March of 2014. So probably out of my candidate colleagues, I'm probably the youngest in terms of being a resident of River Forest. But in terms of professional, I am a school law attorney. I have been practicing for about 32 years now. Half of the time, I was in-house counsel for CPS, City Colleges of Chicago, the State Board of Education, and currently now with the Elgin Community College. But in addition, I've spent 15 years in a private law firm as a partner. Also, again, representing just public educational institutions from, you know, pre-K all the way through community colleges, state universities. Regarding my community service, I just am about to complete the first term as a village trustee, and I'm interested in running again. I also I'm serving as the chair of the ad hoc committee for the Village of River Forest relating to age-friendly issues. I also, since 2016, have been serving on the Inclusive Advisory Board for District 90. I also participated in being a pronouncer or a judge for their spelling bee since 2017. I also participated in the Imagine group for Oak Park River Forest High School 200. And last but not least, I also participated as a leader in the leadership lab for Oak Park River Forest Foundation. So I'm glad to be part of this community, and I'd love to be involved.
And,
Okay.
and if you could be vaccinated against something, what would it be?
I would like to be vaccinated against anti-empathy. I always find that if people can and sort of understand and feel where everyone else is coming from, I think that brings us closer in terms of solving issues rather than separating us. So.
Very good. Great answers, everyone. Okay, Liz, we are getting divided up, right?
Okay, we're ready. So I will open the rooms. If you're on the call, you'll get a notice that comes up. You just need to accept to get moved over. If anybody loses internet, gets kicked out, don't worry, we'll still be here to let you back in. So, all right, see you on the other side, everyone.
Hi, everyone. Let's see, we've got 2 people that don't have their cameras on. If you'd like to, you're welcome to. Otherwise, no worries. Okay, there's Deb. And please unmute, I would say, because at this point, we just want to be able to jump in and talk. But first, let me introduce myself. I'm Heidi Rowley. I'm the Executive Director of the Unity Temple Restoration Foundation. I'm a board member of the Chamber and also the Secretary. I wanted to thank Ken for coming tonight so everyone can have a chance to talk and hear a few words. As Liz mentioned, we're going to keep this very kind of loose and fun, more of a get to know you kind of style. But that doesn't mean you can't ask any pertinent questions that you have. But we do have limited time, so I'm going to wrap up really fast here. Don't be surprised if I have to cut someone off, including our candidates, if it's time to move around, because I get my 1-minute warning and then I got to wrap things up. And so very quick, if you could just go around, I'll call on you, say your name. I'm assuming you're a resident of River Forest. If not, that's fine as well. If you have a business, please name it, or both. So I'm just going on my screen here. Lynn, if you'd like to say hello.
Yeah, hi, Lynn Lebra, and I've been in River Forest for probably 33, 34 years. 2 kids, I'm currently, who are both grown and on their way. I've also been in the Park District Board of Commissioner for the last 3 years. And so I'm really interested in hearing the varying views coming from folks and getting to know them.
Great. Amanda, real quick, name and business or resident or both?
Sure. Hi, I'm Amanda Gosnell. I'm actually a longtime resident of Oak Park, but I recently became the executive director at the Sheraton of River Forest. So one of the newest businesses in town, assisted living and memory care, that will be opening late this spring. And just grateful for the warm welcome of River Forest and just trying to get the lay of the land. And so great opportunity for me to meet the candidates.
It's a good building. All right, Deb.
Hi, I'm Deb Wolkstein. I'm sorry, I'm in the midst of cooking dinner. I was expecting just to listen to the candidates. So
That's good, no worries.
And I'm a resident for 5.5 years. Before that, Oak Park, and I do not own a local business.
Great. Melissa, we've got you on audio maybe?
Hi, everyone. Melissa Healy, she, her, hers pronouns. I am also in the middle of cooking dinner because I also was not expecting to have to talk. I am a resident. We have lived here. How long have we lived here? I have to ask my husband. We've lived here for 6.5 years.
All right. And just as we did this, I realized you chatted that you were cooking dinner. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No worries. No worries.
All right, Jenny.
Hi, how are you? I am a staff member at the Chamber of Commerce, so I am here to observe, and I'm actually recording the session, so just FYI, if anyone does not want to be recorded, just, if you want to get rid of your video, we absolutely understand, but really excited to hear the views of the River Forest candidates.
Thank you. And Patty.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Heidi. Good to see you. Amanda, I look forward to getting to know you, working with you. And I just have to give kudos to the folks who are multitasking, cooking dinner and becoming an educated voter. That's awesome. I am not a business owner in River Forest, but I am a resident for 20 years, and I am currently on our village board running for village president.
Great. And now up to Ken. So we heard your intro. And is there anything you'd like to add before we give people an opportunity to ask you a few questions?
Well, I think I might want to change my vaccination because I tried to take a bite and everybody else went the opposite direction. So I might
liked yours.
that one. All right. But other than that, you know, I'm pretty, laid back. So I'd love to answer any questions or talk even now or even offline. I'm pretty open book, so I'm open to, I'm not quite sure how the structure goes, but if you, like me to talk, I can talk, but I would,
Well, yeah, I mean, we could start with some questions, but first of all, don't feel bad about your answer. When I was asked that, I said I want a vaccine against calories. So I was like I was on that end of things. Okay, so does anybody, I have a few questions here, but I would love for anyone else to have some to start. Just shout out if you have one.
I mean, I'll give it a shot. I'm really interested, I'll say, Ken, because I don't know you at all. Do you have any pet peeves, anything that kind of gets under your skin, things that you kind of desperately would like to see changed? Or is it just sort of a general interest?
Is this with regard to being a thought? But I also want to make sure that we follow the guidelines to produce a resolution. So, I think that one thing that's important to me, or the three things that are important to me, is transparency, inclusivity of thought, and then results. And by results, I know, I mean making sure that there's a strong follow-up. You can't always have a result that everyone likes, but you can do the process to ensure that you either get a final resolution and or throughout the process, you're giving whoever's interested updates on the process and letting them know specifically what's going on. Because I found in the past that sometimes, an issue happens, and not just with the village, but in general, and it's important for the moment, and then it kind of drops off. It gets placed somewhere and then it gets dropped off, and there's no one following up with the person, and they're wondering what's going on. So I just want to make it my mission to ensure that I continually follow up and let people know that there is a resolution either coming or we as the village board are working on it.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Great. I have a question from Melissa. She wants to know what inspired you to run. I love this. What is the why of the why?
Okay. So initially, what inspired me? So I lived across the street from Kathy Aducci. And, I built my house. So during that time, this was on William Street, in case you want to know. I got to know her and I got to kind of learn about what's going on in the River Forest system. And so I kind of became interested in what's going on with the village. I've been on the River Forest Youth Soccer League board for 10 years. And so during that time, I met a lot of people, and, usually a lot of times it falls back on my law. So people ask me questions regarding that. And so I just felt like with my business experience, my strong belief in diversity, and my ability to listen, I think that, I would be essential to the board. And, I just want that opportunity to show that.
Great. And real quick, we've got two other people joining us today. I just want to say a quick hello to Chuck and Lisa. If either of you have a business in River Forest or elsewhere that you'd like to announce, please do. Otherwise, if anyone has other questions, just feel free to shout them out. Quiet bunch tonight. All right. Well, fortunately, we've got Melissa, who's busy doing 8 things right now, but also has another question.
How is she doing all this?
That's what working moms do, by the way. But not everybody feels welcome or says they feel safe in River Forest. She wants to know how you interpret that statement and what kind of action you could take toward that.
So I think the answer of safety, has to be defined by the individual that is asking the question. So you should always ask first, what do you specifically mean by safety? So, and I do a Zoom pretty much every Wednesday as my get to know you. And so a lot of people have centered around what's going on with our current police force, what is being done on the diversity end, what's being done on the safety end. There was a discussion on the past as far as when, I think it was about 2 years ago, we had a rash amount of carjackings, specifically in River Forest and Oak Park. I mean, there's some going now, but the focus back then was River Forest and Oak Park. And that was where I received where I learned about the follow-up that was going on. So I actually had a few friends in River Forest that specifically had their car jacked right in front of their house. One that was jacked, I was on my way to meet them to go out to eat, and we're driving up the street, and all of a sudden their car gets jacked and they drive up on their not driveway, but on their grass and zoom away. And so I think that for me, what's important is knowing, I believe we do have a strong police force, so let me say that. But I also believe that what's important for us with regard to safety is to ensure that you either know what's going on with your police force, as well as have the ability to share your concerns without the concern that it's going to work against you. And so I want to make sure that we are able to communicate with the police and that our residents are able to talk to the police as well, and not only in an emergency situation. So I think that with regard to the safety issue, it answers a myriad of questions, but we need to make sure that there's safety with regard to your ability to live in River Forest, and then there's a safety with regard to your ability to operate in River Forest without the concern that something is going to happen to you. And so I would just continue to work with the River Forest Police and ensure that their safety needs are met. And that can also, if we take it one step further, it can also be applied to safety with regard to environmental issues for the senior community, so environmental barriers. So we need to make sure that every person is not only safe and free from crime activity, but also has the ability to walk and progress throughout River Forest without the concern that there are barriers that don't allow them to do that.
Excellent, thank you. I've got another question here in the chat, unless anyone else has something they want to jump in and ask beforehand. Okay, well, so Deb was wondering, how satisfied are you with the current level of affordable housing in River Forest and with the village's new plan?
So I would say satisfied. So right now we are at approximately 9. So the mandate is 10%. I don't want to be educating things you guys already know, but the mandate right now, or the mandate is 10%. We're not at 10% yet. I believe that that needs to happen. Now, we should also consider the issues of why some of the reasons why it's not happening. One is because River Forest is only approximately 2.5 square miles. So we have to locate and find that affordable housing, but also we should always continue to strive and think outside the box. So there were approximately 6 or so tenants that have been laid out as to try to think outside the box and how we can get not only to 10%, but we need to continue on. And so my first goal would be to make sure we hit that 10% because that's a mandate and stay compliant. And then also we have to continue on by expanding and thinking outside the box so that we can increase affordable housing. And one thing about affordable housing, I think sometimes it gets a bad name because specifically the first thing that comes to mind is, we're bringing in someone with not as much income or not as much education. There's an assumption that comes with it, but it doesn't mean that. And I think that it also applies to elder living, and you want to stay at home, you want to actually live and grow in River Forest. And as taxes progress, as you get older, as you start leaving your job to retire, you want to be able to age in place. And so we need to have options for that as well.
Excellent.
Specifically for the Sheridan, all right, I just figured I'd throw a plug out there.
It's a good plug.
You knew you'd get a smile out of me for all the senior accessibility and aging in place.
Yeah,
I appreciate you.
It's very important.
It's important.
Any other
Okay,
questions?
I'll throw in a question. Oh, so I'm gonna.
Please go. Please go.
Ken, if you don't mind, I guess I would like your opinion, seeing as this has been in recent conversation at the board table and written about in the local paper, your opinion on our commission process currently. Are you satisfied with how our commissions get appointments? Do you see that there's room for changing and improving it?
So I would say there's always room for improvement, and but as they say, change doesn't happen overnight, but progress happens in an instant. So we need to make sure that we're continually progressing to develop what's going on. Now, I would say that with specific regard to your question, as you know, there are residents that feel that it needs to be developed more, and recently Kathy sent a letter that or mandated a group to start working on it. Well, I think we need to make sure we work on it. I think that one of the things that I think happens, and I could be wrong because once again I haven't been a trustee yet, is that we need to make sure our residents are aware of the process by which things happen, and I think that is not going on. And I would like to assist in making sure that we're more transparent to know the process. Now, the process might not be bad, but a lot of people don't know the process. So we need to just make sure that we're out there, giving people the process so that, if at the end, and we're about to make a decision, someone says, hey, I never heard about it, know the process so that we don't have those issues. So I believe in learning about methodologies and making sure that our residents know the method by which we produce our results.
Great. Well, I hate to cut off this great conversation, but it's time to switch rooms. So other than Ken, everyone else is going to stay put. And Ken, you should be, you should have a button that says leave the room, I think. Do you have that little blue button on the bottom right?
The room, right? Leave the room.
Well, thank you for your time and for your answers.
And also, please don't hesitate to ask me for a sign. And then also, should you have any questions, I'll be open to any kind of follow-up. I mean, I honestly am an open book on that. So thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
I didn't leave the room. Leave breakout room.
There he goes. Great. Thanks everyone for your questions. So that's pretty much how we're going to be running it. I have a couple of fun questions, but I wanted to make sure we get to all of your interests first. So if those don't come out, it's no worries. Jenny, do you happen to know who our next candidate is, or we'll just be surprised? It's surprised. Yeah, why not? All right. Let's see.
It's great that the chamber is offering this.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm glad we're doing it. It was a good idea. And at first we were questioning, well, should it just be trustee? Should it be president? And I know, Patty, you're going to be there next week. But I think it's a nice way for people to get to know each other. And ideally, we'd be all standing around with a drink in hand and food and, in a beautiful place. But hey, this is better than nothing.
No, which is why it's important that you're doing this, because we don't have the opportunities to be out and about interacting with people. So no, thank you.
Hopefully the weather will start warming up and we can at least do some more outdoor stuff, but we'll see.
Right, that would be nice.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. While we're waiting for our next candidate, Chuck or Lisa, would you like to say a quick hello, your name, how long you've been a resident? You don't have to, don't feel obligated, but the rest of us did it.
Okay. Well, I know this, Lisa. I didn't know who you were talking about.
Sorry, I am multitasking here, but I figured even some attention is better than none. So I am Lisa Birmingham, and I live on the same block as Patty here, 700 Bonnie Bray. Been involved in Lemonade for 20, almost, well, yeah, we're going on 20 years this year. And I have 3 kids, 3 boys, and 1 in high school, 1 in college, and 1 out in the working world. So thanks for hosting this tonight so that we can get to know the candidates a little bit.
Great. And Chuck?
Chuck Vietzen here. I live over on the 300 block of Ashland. I'm a lifelong resident of River Forest. My parents still live in the same house I grew up in over on Monroe. 4 kids. Youngest is an 8th grader at Roosevelt, 2 at the high school, a senior and a sophomore, and then a junior in college. And my wife, Elizabeth, is a D97 teacher in Oak Park.
God bless her. How's she doing with the hybrid?
Well, she's back teaching in person, but some of the kids, they D97 is for the lower grades is allowing anyone who wants to come into school, they're allowing it. So I think they're at about 58% are coming in
Yeah.
So she's got some kids in front of her and some kids at home every day, but she's in the school.
Oh, wow.
But it's not a rotating thing. So they just, with the way the parents and the families decided to do it. So it's, some decided to stay home, some wanted to come in.
Great. Well, I'm excited that now we have our next candidate. This is Johan and Bates, right?
Bates, right.
All right. Thank you for telling us. So do you want to do a very quick intro? You don't have to repeat everything you said at the beginning, but then we'll give people some time to talk.
Well, I've lived in River Forest for 23 years and raised our 2 daughters here. Janet is my wife.
All the good stuff. Great. And I wanted to ask really quick, I meant to ask this for our last candidate, but we had some great questions. Since we, for the most part, can't be eating indoors right now, or if you're eating outdoors, you're probably freezing. What is your favorite takeout restaurant in the general area? It doesn't have to be River Forest.
Important question. Thanks.
Right? I know.
In River Forest, I love Panera. So let's just get that on the record.
Okay, the broccoli cheese soup is amazing.
Yes.
That is my favorite.
Yes. Mine too. Mine too. In the bread bowl.
Oh, of course.
But here's the other thing. I frequently, before COVID, I've had to travel out of state and out of country. And whenever I come back, I must go to Johnny's. It is so Chicago. It's right there. Then I have a sense of place. And now I know, okay, now I've got my combo hot.
Now you're home.
Now I'm home. So there you go.
That's great. Well, does anyone have a question they'd like to ask Johan? Something as simple as that, or something maybe a little deeper to do with?
Well, I really appreciated kind of the question we kicked off last time, which is what was your why, for running? What prompted you to jump in the race?
23 years of service to our community. I deeply, deeply love River Forest. I came from Oak Park, where we had spent a number of, only 2 very fine years, and then settled in River Forest. And my children and the friendships that they've made and my own involvement with the Flood Task Force. Most of those events that are on the website for River Forest regarding flooding and interventions that the board has put in place, I was at the table drafting those interventions and those opportunities. Then more recently, with the expansion of the third rail, the Union Pacific third rail project, the fact that Geneva had multiple community meetings with Union Pacific, and the end of the line in River Forest did not have a single one, so offended me that I marshaled with Megan Keskitalo the Westlake Auvergne community, and they deputized the 2 of us to speak on behalf of them against this uninvolvement and yet taking our $100 million taxpayers' federal funding. So those kinds of commitments to the welfare of my community came from my father. I saw him in apartheid South Africa. We had no right to vote. We had to be shifted and thrown out of our house twice because whites had to get the houses, and we were in homes that were too good for us. So we had to go to the outskirts of town. That was apartheid. And yet he took and gave established ballet classes in a grade school, music classes, individual music lessons in a grade school. He was a community organizer, and against so many odds enriched the community that I couldn't sit back as an adult and say, oh, that was all good. That legacy died with him. I am committed to paying forward the very legacy that I received. That's the reason why I won.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful. Someone else jump in if you want to. Otherwise, I have a couple of questions here in the chat. Okay, so Melissa would like to know that not everyone feels welcome or says they feel safe in River Forest, and how do you interpret that? And what do you think, what kind of actions do you think you could take?
You know, in every community, there is goodness. And I like to think of the goodness even in the situation when a police officer approaches me and speaks harshly to me, and or another person sees me pulling up at the side at the curb, and because I happen to be attached to my in-laws' car that is showing its age, this person thought that I was illegally parking my car in River Forest. Those moments of personal diminishment of the human spirit are the moments where I say these opportunities for showing that you rise above that. And so often there are structural issues that many of our citizens find are the kinds of things that sometimes come as a result of opinions and attitudes that are not complementary to one another. And I tell you, I have always had this perspective that if I could relinquish hate and serve those who give you a bad glance, those who make assumptions about you and act in those kinds of ways. And I say, my name is so-and-so. I live here. I've raised children in this community. Welcome. I don't know how long you've lived here. Those opportunities for diminishing the kind of presumptions that so easily come in interpersonal relationships are the starting points. You know, quite frankly, I would hope that we would consider that we have to be regionally minded. Buying power, collective buying power is so much greater if we can do major projects jointly with our neighbors of Oak Park, Maywood, Forest Park, and so on. And so in the same way, I want us to recognize that built into those opportunities for financial growth are also opportunities for human growth, so that we don't really see communities as us and them, as other and different. We have to see our neighbors as we see ourselves, and we embrace that. And so every time I see a policeman pull over somebody in front of my house, and there is the possibility of racial profiling, I am an eyewitness and I bear witness to those moments. And those are things that I want to extend into goodwill and be bridge builders for the opportunities for greater success, interpersonal success in River Forest. It's a long answer to a short question.
Great answer. Thank you.
Question, Johan.
Mm-hmm.
I have another one. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, if I may ask a personal favor, I'd love to just have Deb Walkstein unmute her video. I've corresponded with her so many times, and we've never really seen what the other person looks like. So,
Hi, I'm sorry.
Deb,
I'm listening. I'm listening. I'm cooking dinner.
That's okay. I just need to see your face. Go back to mute your video again. I just want to see your face.
Thank you.
Okay, good. Thanks, Deb. Appreciate it.
And actually, that's good timing because Deb did have a question about your how satisfied are you with the current level of affordable housing available in River Forest?
I'd rather call affordable housing the missing middle housing, because this is one of the beautiful historical facts that River Forest in the 1950s, in the post-World War II boom period, established homes, multiple family dwellings, townhomes, condos, and so on. And those were complements, the flip side of the same coin, where other homes that you would put on the parade of homes happen to be. And so this is the beautiful strength of River Forest. It is not a gated community that's exclusive. It is a community that says neighbors are neighbors, and we all happen to be part of this community. We play on the sports fields together. Our children get to know one another, and so on. And you know, this is why I am so excited that this affordable housing, I am not happy that we went to the best opportunity. We did not have density bonuses. We did not build in for developers a compulsory percentage of affordable housing clauses. These kinds of opportunities are business opportunities that make affordable housing attractive because it reminds us that we are all neighbors one to the other. And I find that the affordable housing voting that we had is only a small step. We need to do so much more. But as someone who has experienced remarkable historical changes in my lifetime, I know that they always start with small steps. So I will say I am hopeful that we can get a far more progressive, affordable housing kind of thing. Aging in place, the opportunity for incentivizing building and development that has a place for affordable housing, and go beyond that. And that must be called the missing middle housing plan. It's not the affordable housing, which means that people who are out and destitute need to be housed. Yes, we need to look for the least of these two, and we need to recognize that there's place for neighbors who are out on their luck as well. But don't accept and assume, make the connotation that affordable housing is only housing that is subpar, substandard, and of course, everything else that comes with that. So I prefer to call it the missing middle housing plan.
I like that. I like the missing middle housing plan. It's affordable housing, like you said, sometimes gets a bad rap, which I don't understand, but I like where you're going with that. But unless someone has something super quick, I've been instructed that it's time to move on to the next room. So Johan, anything you want to say on your way out?
I'm just really grateful. You have saved me so many meets and greets by doing one big one for all of us. So thank you so much. Keep well, all the best. And thank you, Heidi. Appreciate it.
Thanks, you.
My pleasure. Thank you. Yep,
And
leaving the room. All right, great.
That seemed to go faster.
It did. I mean, probably, I think she gave us a little more time in the first one just to give our little intros to get to know each other in this little group. But does everyone feel like this is going okay? Anything you wanted to interact with differently, or?
I do actually have to pop off for a 6 o'clock meeting, but thank you so much for the opportunity. I really appreciated it.
Thanks for joining us, Amanda.
Thanks. See y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.
No, this seems to work well. It is kind of nice to get the same question being answered. Like,
Yeah, kind of
just to get a sense of comparative.
Yeah, kind of compare and contrast. But if something does pop up, or if you know one of these candidates or their platform, feel free to start something new as well. I think we're the most prompt group, by the way. So we're waiting for everyone else to get their candidates back in the middle.
And two people are cooking dinner at the same time.
Right. I think we have three. I think we have three, maybe at least two.
Oh yeah. Great.
Yeah, I think Lisa's too. It's impressive. Yeah. How many people here are or were full-time working parents at some point in their lives? Or full-time, like, you do a lot of other things for the community. So it's impressive that you're on here and getting to know your candidates. I personally am from Oak Park, so I cannot vote in this, but I've really been enjoying meeting a lot of people through this process as well. You guys have a good slate of candidates, so good for you.
Well, it's nice we have choices. It's nice that, I mean, except for our township, all our boards are contested. I think that's healthier for the community.
I agree. Yeah. It's good to mix things up every now and then.
Right. Well, I think I mean, ultimately, having been a candidate with contested races, I think it's better for the candidates too. It really forces you to do your homework and to understand the issues and make your positions. And if you're not contested, you don't have to do that. So I think there's value in that.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I know this is not easy. These jobs people are running for, so I think it does help to show that you can do the work and that you can, come to the table with good answers. Oh, Lisa said, "Yep, this is multitasking." We're all pros at that.
They're really great too, because just for Patty too, for next week, when we had our Oak Park one, it was really nice to just meet some of the candidates just more casually. So you got to understand their platform, but also to have a little bit of a personal dial-in rather than some of the forums that have agendas. Just, not agendas, but certain platforms that they need to.
It's more scripted. Right.
Exactly. Right. So I thought that was, and I love this, the candidate that's been here so far, you just get a little bit of a feel for them too, which I think is difficult at times.
Right.
Well, we've got our next candidate just popped in. Hi, Rez.
Hi, how you doing? Good evening.
Good. Thanks for joining us. So what I've been asking everyone to do is, we heard your intro at the beginning, which is great. You certainly don't need to repeat that, but is there anything you wanted to mention before we start diving into some questions or interactions?
No, other than one quick blurb I would add to it is that I know I talked about my professional as an attorney, but I did want to emphasize that out of those 32 years of practice, half of it was spent working inside a government entity, and then the other half was spent working in a private law firm that was servicing clients who were public entities. So I just wanted to share the fact that I have I have the internal experience of working with government as well as looking at from the outside and how you deal with government. And that has been a plus, because I've seen situations where the private sector or taxpayers are trying to get a resolution resolved, and then the chain of the government seems to keep turning and turning, and the private sector wants, as well as taxpayer wants, a quicker response. So I had to deal with those scenarios. So other than that, that's it.
And you're running for your second term, that's right?
That is correct. I'm running for my second term as village trustee.
Great. Does anyone want to start with anything you'd like to ask? Like we said before, whether it's fun or more intense. Well, then I'm going to start with something quick and easy. So I asked, I'm going to give you something different. I asked the last person what was their favorite takeout, but what is your favorite time of year in River Forest?
My favorite time of year, I would say, would be during the December holidays. Something about the snow, something about the, well, for me, I celebrate Christmas, but I know a number of other groups of people celebrate something else, but we're all celebrating. And it seems to be a nice, warm, family-oriented season. So that would be my season.
Interesting. All right. I don't know about you, but I've been so cold lately. The last thing I want to think about is December, but I get what you're saying, actually. No, it's lovely. Yeah.
I know what you're saying because of the snow, but I will say, being, I know COVID is a horrible thing, but the thing I was able to work remotely. So in this time around, I was able to appreciate the snow falling without me needing to travel. So, so yeah.
Makes a difference.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Does anyone have anything they want to ask? Otherwise, I have a couple in the chat. I'd be happy to. Nope. Okay. So there have been a couple questions that we've been able to ask each candidate, which is kind of nice to get, different points of view.
Sure.
So how satisfied are you right now with the level of affordable housing in River Forest?
Okay. I am not satisfied that it's at the right level for a couple of reasons. Now, I know that I voted and on the record for the affordable housing plan that was submitted to the state. I take full responsibility with it, but I went on record saying that to me was the minimum. That to me was something that would not stop us from moving forward and looking at other affordable housing issues and promoting that. But I will say though, in following up with that, I'm a chair of the age-friendly committee for the River Forest. With that, one of the things we are looking at is housing for our seniors. But with that also is that even though we're looking at it in the spirit of our seniors and their housing, it also is going to benefit our residents who are disabled. It's also going to benefit all our other residents who may not afford the big, mansion, so to speak, and it's going to provide more opportunities than what we currently have. So I'm working at it in the angle of our seniors disabled, but it's going to benefit more than that, more of the individuals other than that. So that's how I'm looking at it.
Excellent, thank you. And another question I think is important wherever you are. The question is, not everyone feels welcome or safe in River Forest, and how would you interpret that statement, and what kind of actions as a candidate would you suggest?
Heidi, can you repeat that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure. So not everyone feels welcome or safe in River Forest, and how do you interpret that statement, and what kind of actions could you take?
Okay. That's, I'm saddened to hear that. And I will say that one of the first things that I was presented with in the first term, as well as I see Patty's online too. She was in the first year too, as I was. One of the things that we had to deal with was the welcoming resolution. And so our board was actually, did pass a welcoming resolution to make our residents all feel comfortable with it. I understand that there still may be issues relating to that. I also, though, am a proponent of the partnership that we've had with Dominican. I'm also been supportive of the advisory group that the village is going to be hopefully approving within the next month or two. And they're going to be looking at issues regarding specific issues relating to the village and our practices to make them a little more welcoming, a little more diverse, a little more inclusive. And so we're looking, well, at least from my perspective, we're looking at it holistically with the Dominican project that's a little bigger, but also then a little more focused with the village with the equity advisory group. In addition to that, though, I'm open to, I know we have also entered into a covenant with Maywood. And one of the things that I'm already working on as well is, as it relates to our seniors friendly, I'm already reaching out to the village of Maywood, the village of Forest Park, the Austin Council, and Oak Park, in terms of what we can do to support each other as it relates to seniors. There are a number, obviously, as you probably can fathom, like anything else, there are a number of agencies that are all working on this. I don't want to overlap what anybody else is doing. What I want to do is coordinate with the townships, with the other villages, so that we're supporting each other and making a better use of our taxpayers' funds. We can work together. Believe you me, there's a lot of work to do. So it's not like we should be fighting each other. We should actually be working and coordinating with each other. So, and one of the, for example, an example is we just, the village board, and thanks to, also thank Patty as well, she approved, she was in support of it too. is the handyman repair project that we had between the village of Oak Park, the village of River Forest, the Oak Park Township, and the River Forest Township, where it's a program to help our seniors and being able to serve them and giving them an option to have some affordable repairs that can be done in their homes. We're not stopping with just the 4 of these entities. We're reaching out to Maywood, we're reaching out to Proviso Township. We're trying to expand this because obviously the more of the entities that are involved, there are economies of scale and probably better services that we can all benefit from. So we're working on that as well. So I can keep talking, so I'm going to stop though.
That's great information. Well, before I jump in again, if anyone else has anything they want to ask or comment or interact. No, we got an easy bunch here, Liz. So something that's interesting to me, being an Oak Parker and being on a similar forum a few weeks ago with our candidates, the economic viability of small businesses right now is a huge topic. And of course, River Forest has fewer number of small businesses, but I think similar issues. So how would you address that?
You know, well, 2 things. Number one, it is probably increased more so because of COVID. And so I know the village has done a few things in terms of, you know, suspending restrictions on the hours of deliveries for a business to support them. We've also waived some late fees and parking fees. We also waived some business license fees for about 90 days. But we also, for example, there was one business who had a liquor license that paid a fee, asked for a rebate because during COVID, they were not able to use that liquor license. And so we did agree to abate it. And so that helped the business for there. I'm also, I know you're probably gonna, I'm also looking in different ways too. For example, as part of my age-friendly committee, we are looking at, well, one of the issues is dementia-friendly. So when we were building that, we trained police officers, we trained some of our community members on dementia-friendly awareness. One of the other aspects that is going to be part of that is we're calling it the ambassadorship. So we're going to go, and COVID put a delay on this, but the intent is for us to go and help our businesses to become more dementia friendly, aware as well, so that our seniors are productive and they're great contributors to our businesses as well. So we don't want our businesses to shun them. We want our businesses to welcome them. And sometimes the lack of knowledge of how to deal with dementia friendly people sort of scares them and makes it resistant. Once we get over that, it seems like they will be more welcoming, more easy to work with, and welcoming our seniors. And that helps the business and our seniors. So I'm always looking at different ways like that, try to help everyone. Everyone can win in a situation like that, right?
Great. Yes. Again, we might have just a little bit of time left. I'm still
Sure.
waiting on my note from Liz. Anyone have anything else they'd like to ask or add? Lynn.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot. You know, there was a question asked earlier in terms of what inspired the candidate to run, and so I'd like to pose that. But for you, it's rerunning, so you absolutely know what you're going into here. So can you kind of answer that, you know, in that light, please?
Yeah. Yes. Yes, I can answer that. And let me. Why would I run? Why would I run? It's almost the same, and I'll explain. You know, one of the things that, as I was an attorney working for all these public bodies, I was always advising them. I was always advising them what to do, what they could do, what they shouldn't do. And so in this respect, I am actually now the one who's being advised. In that respect, I'm the one sitting at that chair. And I thought maybe it would be a little more difficult for me to be there, but actually I'm enjoying it even more so. Actually, I don't have to wait to see what it is that I can do, I can also measure what, and on, I know this, if it's recorded, our village attorney is probably going to hit me, but I know what the advice could be, but I'm also saying that we as the individuals, board members, are the ones that are making the hard decision as to what's going to benefit our residents. And there's where the judgment call comes in. And I think, you know, when I was an attorney, I didn't have to worry about that. I just worried what the law was. In this respect, I have to measure what the law is, but at the same time, what do the residents need? And so with that, I like that. About when I came from, and my parents were always raising us, meaning I had 3 brothers and myself, but they raised us, you know, you got to give back to your community. So, you know, part of this is, you know, the community is going to help you, support you, etc. But you don't stop there. You got to give back. So I was always interested in that and always been part of that. And I'm getting the message I got to leave. So I'm.
Yeah, I'm getting the same message. But thank you so much.
Okay.
No. I just want you to finish. But thank you, Russ, so much for your time tonight.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all for your time. Bye-bye.
Yeah, Liz is giving me the text evil eye, so I just didn't want to cut him off because then I thought that was a good question, so I'm glad you asked it. Great, so I guess we have Lisa. Is our last one coming in? Yep. Good. Well, while we're waiting for her, anyone here want to mention what your favorite takeout place is? Because I'm always looking for it. There's a great, I don't know if any of you are on the Facebook group Takeout 25. So there's always, it's great recommendations there, but anyone want to shout out what they like?
Oh, Melissa's Head Show. One of my favorites, not necessarily takeout, but we've done it as takeout, is Cucina. That's definitely one of our go-to. And Anthony and Nick Gambino are awesome. Burger Movement has also been a great place to go. They've been great to Lemonade, so love to support them for sure.
Oh, good. You know, the very first, my husband and I first moved here in 1997 when we got married. And the first place we went to, we treated ourselves because we had no money. We thought we were like getting all fancy, was to go to Cucina. And
Love it.
it's, I'm glad they're still in business.
Oh, no,
but we
that's
have,
great.
Yeah, we have Lisa's on. Hi, Lisa.
Hello, how's it going?
Great. So, you know, we all heard your intro for the most part. Is there anything you wanted to mention before we jump into some questions or interactions?
The only thing I guess, I don't know for those, because I think the only thing I hadn't, no, that's it. I think we're good. Oh, the only thing I would have wanted to say that I don't think I covered in my intro is that I teach at, I'm an adjunct professor at Dominican University. And that has been really, really an amazing thing that I started doing a couple years ago. As I have more time, because my kids are no longer kind of living with me. And so there I teach first generation college students. We coach them and teach them on how to get on their resume, on their LinkedIn profile, on their networking skills, leveraging, like defining and leveraging star stories so that they can get an internship, which is required to graduate, and then hopefully convert that internship to a job. So,
excellent.
So if you heard the rest of the spiel, that would be the end that you missed. I know you were dying to hear it.
The gripping conclusion.
I find that very interesting. So I'll start off with something simple. River Forest is such a beautiful community. Where in River Forest do you find is your kind of place to relax or place to go and unwind?
Well, I have to say, if you want like kind of work like I would say my backyard right now. Like during COVID, we bought like new, kind of furniture for outside, and so I work from my dining room table. I'm sitting at my dining room table now, so I can't wait for this it to get warm so that I can work not only in my dining room but maybe outside. And then just really kind of be in the sunshine. I have very fond memories of spending lots of time on at Keystone Park, at Prairie Park, at Constitution Park. My kids played soccer for a lot of years. So whenever I go back to those places, it just brings back memories and makes me feel old, since they're all, you know, I did my job. They're, they're launched, as they say.
Great. I'm going to get there one of these days. My twins just turned 13, so I remember taking them as toddlers out to those parks, and now obviously that's not happening anymore, but I've got a little more time before I'm in your shoes. So.
I have twins as well.
Oh, really?
25. Yeah.
Goodness. Wow. Congrats. Does anyone have anything they want to, oh, we might have a question here. Someone has the same question. Oh, okay, sure. So we had some questions earlier, but does anyone want to ask something? Otherwise, I'm going to repeat some of the ones we had before. No, okay.
Repeat. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, great. So one of them is, how satisfied are you with the current level of affordable housing in River Forest? And what do you think about the village's plan?
Okay. I think that we actually have to hit at least state minimum, and that we're not there, so that's not a good thing. I do think that the affordable housing plan is a good starting point. The one thing I've learned in all my years working is the first time you put pen on paper, it's out of date because we continue to evolve and change. So I would fully expect that we will go beyond that 10%. We should go beyond the 10%. I think our challenge will be figuring out how to do it, because River Forest is pretty landlocked, and there's, there's not that many opportunities. I'm glad to see that the ADU passed, because I think that's an important thing in terms of allowing for, auxiliary dwelling units to, that being part of the plan, I think is key. I think that are allowing for, I don't know what it's called, I forgot the name, the group, we're letting kind of group, people live in groups. That's at least something that
integrated housing.
Integrated housing, thank you. I think that's a really good thing to do. I want to make sure that we maintain the low income housing that we do have from a quality perspective, because that's always good. I would love to see, and I think we will see it, because I think dynamics will change in amongst family units in more multi-generational housing. In fact, I know of a number of homes right now where there are, grandparents and grandkids and 3 generations in one house. So I'd love to see more of that. I do think that if you think, I'm sure I won't be the first time, and that you have your Madison Lake and North Avenue. Those areas represent opportunities. I would say for mixed use, we're going to have to put business on the bottom, and in some sort of residential on top. My brother is in real estate investment trust in DC, and that's kind of what everybody is doing. It does 2 things. Again, it allows us to maybe generate more sales tax and more business, kind of taxes that take the burden off of residents in terms of property taxes. And I also think that it creates that environment that we want, that kind of people feel like we've got like this little, kind of hometown, awesome, kind of place. So I don't know if that answers your question. I'd be happy to talk further if I didn't answer it in full.
Well, Deb, feel free to chat if you wanted anything
Hi, Deb,
else
how are you?
expanded.
And hi, Melissa. I feel like I know a lot of people here.
That's good. Deb and Melissa and Lisa are multitasking right now, I think, feeding families. So I'm glad they're here. Melissa says hello. So a question Melissa had was wanting to know what inspired you to run. What is the why of the why for you?
I think a number of things came together. One is I have more time. Again, because I've always worked outside the home. Raised with 3 kids, was lucky enough to have an amazing, caregiver that it still is their second mom. I was involved in PTO when they were little. Got involved in infant welfare. I've been involved in infant welfare for a lot of years. Got involved in sustainability. I initially put in, I'm a big flora and fauna lover. I think that's kind of my first love in terms of, I guess activism is probably too strong a word, but basically that's my, we need to save the planet. So basically with that as a premise, I requested to be on the commission when it first started. I wasn't picked. There were a lot of people that wanted to be on the commission. So when Kathy asked me to join, gosh, 2.5 years ago, I said, sure. And I worked with Julie Moeller, who made like one of the founding kind of members of the Sustainability Commission. She did amazing work. The one thing I really, though, noticed when I got on there is we needed to operationalize the Sustainability Commission. It was started by passionate people that could really kind of spend a lot of time. And when Julie knew she was moving downtown, she and I worked very closely. She knew like all the different pieces and parts and how it was supposed to come together. And I would listen to her talk and I'd kind of write it down. So starting with Sustainability Commission, I got to know the village and how it operated. And I think that I can do more as a trustee, where I can, kind of, make that same impact I think I've made on sustainability on a broader scale. Does that answer the question, Melissa?
She's quick. She said yes. Thank you. Oh, Patty, were you going to ask something?
Yeah, I'll ask the same question I asked another candidate. So says your breakout room is closing.
We have 1 minute, so go ahead.
We could do it. We could do it.
Okay, so just quickly, was your take on commissions and the need to improve the process or not in terms of commission appointments?
I think that we can always improve processes. Again, I come from a world of continuous improvement. That's what I've done my entire life. So I like to say it's all perfect and we're gonna, let's all go home. That's not in my vocabulary. That said, I think that my experience being on a commissioner, being on a commission, it works. My commission, I don't know any of the people on it. I think we all bring different things to it. We have someone who's really, really good at metrics. That's what she does for a living. So she's on it. We have somebody that's passionate about native gardens, and that's what they're focusing on. We have someone that's passionate about solar, and that's what they're working on. So in terms of the distribution,
daughters went to Trinity and graduated, and we were at Legier for the last 20 years and thought I knew everything I needed to know about River Forest, but that was not the case.
There's always more to learn, right?
Absolutely.
All right. There's our timer. Okay, well, we've got 3 minutes left. Marianne, did you want to give us some final words before you leave? I think I still saw her on here. Oh, maybe she left. Our board president had to go because she had to get on a call for her kids' school. So you are going to be in our good hands. I might ask Sam Youssef, who's our board vice president. Did you want to have some final words, Sam, before we do our raffle prizes?
I took, what was I going to say, as I was saying earlier, before everyone else got on, was that I was pleasantly surprised. There was a lot of things I did not know about River Forest that came out in the open as we were having open discussions with the candidates. And I wanted to thank all of you for being very open. When you didn't know something, you absolutely, basically said, I didn't know. And also wanted to thank some of the, what do I want to call them, some of the officials in River Forest for being on the calls and help facilitate some of the answers to provide us with some significant input and background information. And to all of the people that participated, thank you very much. I thought it was a great session.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Wonderful. Okay, so it'll be back over to us for some raffle prizes. We have 3 gift cards to give away, all from River Forest businesses. We've got a $25 gift card from Good Earth Greenhouse, $25 from River Forest Chocolates, and $25 from Blackout Baking, which is an online business based in your fine community. So Mark, can you tell us who the winners will be?
Sure. Let me first name procedure for winners. So when your name gets called, if you can unmute yourself and say yay or something so that we know you're on the call, that would be awesome. And then second, if you can use the chat function to send a message to Liz Holt to say what your mailing address is so she knows where to mail this, so that we don't have to eat all the chocolates and cookies ourselves.
That's exactly it. My Zoom waistline cannot, my COVID waistline cannot handle any more from River Forest chocolates and Blackout Baking. So, all right.
All right, so procedure named. So our first winner of a prize, gift card from Blackout Baking, Shayna Tavares is the owner right on the call here, is Lauren Behan. Behan? Lauren, are you out there? Must be present to win because otherwise we don't know your mailing address. Right. Moving on then, runner or alternate winner, Stephanie Kang, are you out there?
Stephanie left as well. All right. Well, we still got 32 people on this call.
All right. So next, Beth Vlarik. Are you out there? We chose these ahead of time at random from the registration list, so maybe these people didn't call in. Sharon Halperin, are you out there? All right, I'm just going to keep moving down my pre-selected names. We'll draw more.
It's too bad we don't have a square that goes around the gallery view.
Yeah, I picked a few backups, but I may result to closing my eyes and pointing at the screen. If that's where we end up. Glenn Weissenberger, are you out there?
Yeah.
Did I hear a voice?
Is on. I heard a voice.
Hold on, I'm going to see. Let's. Okay,
I see his name.
They're always there. Like, that's like one of the last parts of.
Hi.
Glenn is on.
Glenn's there. He didn't speak loud enough to get into the speaker view, but okay. Glenn,
he has video off. He's only on audio, it looks like.
Okay, so Glenn, maybe if you can stay on the call at the end, you can make sure you tell me your mailing address, or I can put my email in the chat and you can maybe grab it if that's possible. Okay, let's keep going.
All right, next winner, $25 gift certificate to River Forest Chocolates is Margot Toppin out there. All right, at this point, I am literally going to close my eyes and poke at my screen here, so hold on. All right, Susan Altier.
Well, we know Susan's here. We can.
Susan's here. Yeah, there she is.
All right, so you have just won the River Forest Chocolates. And last one, Good Earth. I'm going to exclude candidates here so we don't get into favoritism.
No board members.
I was going to say, how come no board members are getting picked?
Yeah, no board members.
Yeah, so we try to make sure, again, that we're not just picking the people we know and like best. All right, final winner is Andy Basney.
All right.
Hey, Andy.
Well done. Well done, Andy.
So if you can just message Liz with your mailing address to get your certificate. Thank you all for supporting your local businesses. We appreciate that. I'll hand it back to you, Liz.
Right. My final comment will be, if you made the effort to come along and listen to the candidates today, I assume you're going to make the effort to vote. Please don't forget to vote. Last few years, few election cycles, we've had incredibly low numbers of turnout. So we're hoping, in the spirit of being done with politics, get out there and vote, get the right people in office. We've got a lot of recovery work to do. I speak on behalf of the small business community for both villages. We've got a lot of work to do. So get out there and vote. Thank you to the candidates for coming along today. We appreciate all the work that you're doing, and have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate
Thank you
having us.
Bye-bye.
Oh.